Is Mittens out there?
No.
No?
She ate all food.
She did?
Seriously, like there's not even one crumb in there.
Cool, dude.
Come back.
We have this feral cat that showed up a few weeks ago, and Tyler has been like adamant that we'll never have a cat. He's not a cat person. What, baby? Okay. Anyways, this feral cat showed up, and it killed all the mice that we were having in the garage because of all the animal feed in the garage. And then all of a sudden Tyler turned into a cat person, and we've been feeding this cat, and the boys have been obsessed, and they're trying real hard to turn it into a, I don't know what you call it, a non-feral cat. I don't know, but they've named it Mittens. She comes out every day. Huh? Oh, she's over here? Okay, we'll go see if we can see her. So she lives out here with the goats. Oh, I see her, Knox. She's over here, baby. She's over that way.
What?
She lives with the goats, and every now and then you'll catch her in the middle of a goat pile, just chillaxing with the goats. I think she thinks she's a goat. You see her? She's black and white. Boomer, booms. Boomer, no. Boomer likes to scare her off. Let's see if we can check this out. Don't run at her, baby. Don't run at her. See her in there, that black and white kitty cat? Here she comes. Say, come on, Mitten Kitten. Say, come on, Mittens. Hey, sweet girl.
So last time she was right there, and then we put her boat right there. Then she just walked right there. Like
Whoa.
we were watching her, and she was right here, and she was like
Cool.
no, like, and there she is. Look, you can see her.
Yep, she's eating now. Oh, okay. Yep, she's eating over there. That's the extent of the drama that goes on around here. That's the way I like to keep it. We'll keep you updated on the cat saga. Okay, so we're going out here to the tunnel, or I'm going out. I don't know who's going to come with me. I'm going out here. I'm going to actually cut down cucumber plants today. They have been pretty much taken out by the beetles. Yeah, and it's time for them to come out. They needed to come out probably a week ago, and I have delayed this because, oh, careful, don't throw things at them.
Oh, he threw one.
Child. Because I haven't known like what I'm gonna plant after. So in the past, just in my home garden, you know, when the cucumbers come out of the ground, they come out of the ground and it's over. But for a market garden mindset, you know, you got to know what you're going to do next, what's coming next. So I really don't have a plan for what's coming next. So for now, they'll come out. I mean, they're not serving anything. All they're doing is just taking up nutrients out of the ground at this point. I'm really not harvesting any cucumbers off of them because they look so bad because of the beetles. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out of the ground. I did order some feather meal. It should be in soon. When that comes in, I will amend the ground with the feather meal. Feather meal has a lot of nitrogen. It's supposed to be slow release nitrogen per Google. Because cucumbers are heavy feeders, so I want to add some nutrients back into the ground. Yes?
When will I have horse lessons again?
Horse lessons, I talked to Miss Karen, and we're going to get that set up this week, okay? So I'm in the ground with some feather meal, and then I think what's going to happen is, you know, ideally, at least in my mind, you would want to put something in there that's not a heavy feeder. Something like a legume that would add nutrients back to the ground. But I think what I'm going to do actually is I have some more tomatoes that are started. They're inside. I need to finish hardening them off. They're kind of in that process right now. And I'm probably going to add the tomatoes where the cucumbers were, which tomatoes are also heavy feeders, which is another reason I'm amending the ground with the feather meal. So I think that's going to be the plan.
Stop this thing.
Okay, so we're in the tunnel, and you can see how pathetic these cucumber plants look. These are supposed to be at the top of the tunnel, but the beetles, and I've noticed a ton of stink bugs in here, or at least I think that's what they are. I'll find one, I'll show you. And I think that's part of the problem too, and I've noticed some damage on my peppers and my tomatoes from those. And so tonight I've got some cold pressed neem oil, so tonight I'll come out with that and I'll spray with that. I don't know if that's gonna do anything. Everything I've read is they're pretty hard to get rid of, but I've read that the cold pressed neem oil will help a little. So here's one of those bugs. Let me see if I can't zoom in and show you a little better. There we go. So those guys are everywhere, and from everything I'm reading and everything I'm seeing out here is they're suckers, and so they'll stick their little, I don't even know what they're called, but they're little suckers in the fruit, and they will suck the juices out. And I've noticed definitely some damage on my peppers and my tomatoes from that. Okay, so cucumber plants are officially out except for these Excelsior pickling cucumbers, because they still are somewhat thriving. The beetles and the stink bugs are getting to them a little bit, but they haven't just completely wiped them out yet, so I'm going to leave them for now. I chose to leave the string, so what I could have done was come in here and clipped these strings at the top, because these here are biodegradable. This jute is compostable, so it could have all just come down together, but since I'm planning on putting tomatoes back in here, I'll trellis them the same way, so I'm just gonna leave the string for now. Also came in, hence the reason my hands are really dirty, and pulled up all these weeds. I need to put down some more landscape fabric there. I just am short on landscape fabrics. It's been a couple of days, y'all. A few days, actually. I'm shutting the garden up. Tyler is letting the chickens out because here in Arkansas, or central Arkansas, we are having a really bad armyworm problem. I've seen a lot of people have been posting about armyworms in their lawns and their grass, and we were coming out here to walk to the tunnel, and all of a sudden we noticed armyworms everywhere in our lawn. So we're just gonna let the chickens out and see if they'll help us handle the problem a little bit. Let's see them back here. They're already going to town. I hate having the chickens out personally. We generally will keep them locked up in their run, because they're so bad to get in our driveway and poop in our driveway. It drives me insane, but we'll let them up for today and see what they can do. Oh yeah, they're going to town. It is so hot out here today. I think the heat index is like 110. It's about 11 o'clock. I just got done teaching some classes at the gym, but I got to get out here to the tunnel. I wanted to kind of finish showing y'all what we're doing out there as we transition into fall. I'm really just trying to figure that out, the whole transition. Ideally, you want to have like that smooth transition where you don't really go without being able to harvest crops, so like as the tomatoes, yeah, they're eating them up. That's awesome. As the tomatoes are finishing out and the cucumbers are finishing out, you're starting to plant other things or keep in mind other things for the fall. And as the tomatoes start to, or the summer crops start to kind of peter out, the fall crops are just starting to pick up. And unfortunately, I think that I'm really going to miss that window. I think I'm going to go a period of time where I don't really have much that I'm harvesting, which is obviously not what I wanted. I have started some greens like spinach, lettuces, kale, I've got some cabbage going. Those are all inside right now because it is so hot. I'm afraid to put them in my greenhouse. I'm afraid to put them outdoors because we're going through a heat wave this week and it's just way too hot. So they're indoors right now. They're still teeny little seedlings. They don't even have their true leaves yet. I've also got broccoli and cauliflower, but talking through that, I had Sean with Mindful Farmer Arkansas come out. Well, actually, we had a FaceTime conference. And he was just telling me, kind of encouraging me to maybe hold off on the broccoli and cauliflower this year just because they can be a little tricky and because they take up so much space in a garden. And so I will plant some of them out, but not as many as I had intended to, but I'll plant some out just for us to consume personally and just for the practice because I've not really ever successfully grown much of that. But yeah, just trying to kind of transition through this season, transition into a new season and figuring out how to do that smoothly. It is so hot. We've been trying to pretty much only come out in the mornings and the evenings, but then sometimes I'll have to come out midday like today because I'll have to go back to the gym this evening. So this is about the only time I have today to get out here. I need to finish pulling out the rest of the cucumber plants. I tried to give them a fighting chance and they just, between the heat and the cucumber beetles or those striped beetles, they just really don't stand a chance anymore. I'll show you. You saw where we pulled up a lot of them the other day and I planted tomato seedlings in their place, and I had some high hopes for them, but it's not working out like I had intended, which is fine. They were tiny little seedlings to begin with, and I don't know if it's the heat. It's hot. The heat index today, I think Tyler was saying, is going to be like 110. The shade cloth here definitely takes things down a degree or two. Feels a little better in here, but I mean, it's just hot, man. So I don't know. A lot of these little tomato seedlings have died. I'll turn you around and show you.
Spread it not and fertilize it.
So we planted Grand Marshalls. Those are from Johnny Seeds all down here. They're a determinate variety. And then down here, I planted another indeterminate called, I think it's called Sun Peach, and it's a cherry tomato variety. But I mean, you can see there's not a lot of hope for these guys. This guy's still looking halfway okay, but he's so small. This guy's dying. That one looks okay over there. It was just kind of hit or miss with these. A lot of them had died. I don't know. I didn't count it as just a huge loss just because I've never succession sowed tomatoes, so I felt like I was just trying to give myself a little grace. The cucumber plants, the rest of them are not well, so they're going to come out today. And then I still have a few of those Sun Peach cherry tomato varieties. I will go ahead and just try to put them down here where these cucumbers are. And just see what happens. I don't know. It may not work well at all. So as we transition into the fall, I do definitely have plans to be a little more, I don't know the word, aggressive in here with how I'm using the space. I intentionally did not take full advantage of the space in here this year just because I wanted to see how growing in a high tunnel was going to go for me without overwhelming myself too much. And what I've got in here so far has been manageable. So for sure for the fall, I'm going to try to utilize the space a little more. For now, the plan is to put in carrots, radishes, kale, lettuce, few different lettuce varieties, and some spinach. I also have, I've never tried to grow peas in the fall, but I'm going to try to do some peas. And I don't know if I'm going to try to do them in here or outdoors. I'm definitely going to do the cabbage outdoors, and I may try to do the peas outdoors as well. But if you've ever grown peas in the fall, tell me how that went for you. So that's the plan in here for now. The peppers should go. The peppers are actually just now really coming on. They're looking pretty good. Let me turn you around and show you. They look good. The only issue, this white stuff you're seeing on them is some dipel dust. I did have, it's the army worms that I thought it was cutworms all this time, but it's army worms. They have tried to infest the garden. They've infested our lawn, and we're not the only ones that are having that issue. So unfortunately, it's just an issue this year. But the dipel dust is working. So peppers are just now coming on. The only real issue I've had with them, other than the army worms, which I got rid of with the dipel dust, are stink bugs. It's so annoying. I've also never dealt with stink bugs. So you see here, I came out to pick some peppers this morning for a friend. Can you see that? Where these stink bugs come in and they suck the juice out of the fruit. So this is still a good fruit, and quite honestly, I'll probably take it in and we'll just use it for ourselves, but it's not one that I can sell because look at it. It just looks not great. So I've noticed quite a bit of damage there. I have tried spraying with neem oil. Of course, I kill them anytime I see them. I've tried neem oil. I've tried soapy water, and I can't get rid of them. I don't know how to get rid of them. So I do feel like the pressure has not been as bad this last week, but they're still definitely here. I found a couple this morning when I was out here and killed them, but I don't know, it's just not a problem I've had in the past, and I don't really know where they're coming from. I have them in the outdoor garden, and I have them in this garden as well. But I'm noticing the same issue on my tomatoes. I've had quite a few tomatoes that have been no good to sell because they have those blemishes on them from the pest. But peppers are just now starting to come on. These are some bell peppers, obviously. Some of them I'm picking green, some of them I'm letting turn red. Let's see, these are those lemon spice jalapenos. I actually came out and picked a bunch of these this morning because I had a friend that wanted some. So most of these are green, but when they ripen, they turn to this color. And you can see I put this one to the side because it also has that little, try to focus, that little blemish from the stink bug. Oh, there too. But when they ripen, they turn yellow. They're really good. They're pretty hot. They have quite a bit of heat to them. But right when you bite into them, they're almost kind of sweet, and then the heat hits, so they're pretty interesting. Shishitos are really starting to put out. I love these because they put on so much fruit. And when they get going, they just keep going until the frost. I've grown these for several years now, and will continue to grow them because I like them so much. And they're just really good. Some people will pick them green. I prefer to pick them red because they're a little sweeter that way. But you can eat them either way. And then down here are the habanadas. And I've only gotten a few ripe ones. Here we go. There's some ripe ones. They're starting to come on. I'll try to show you that. So when they're that peachy color, they're ripe. They're good. They have a really unique flavor. They taste very similar to a habanero, but they do not have any heat, which is really, really interesting. And then down here are the corbaces. Tyler's on the phone talking about these army worms. He is just really in a tizzy about it. So the corbaces, I also like to leave these on long enough for them to get a little color to them, this reddish color. They taste a little sweeter that way to me. So this is one I've also grown for several years, and will continue to grow because it is also pretty prolific, and it will really put on the fruit for you. So peppers are doing well. This is one of the crops I am counting on to keep producing for me until the first frost. Okay, so the tomatoes will certainly have to come out of the ground probably, I'm suspecting, by the end of August. But these peppers should keep going until the first frost sometime in October or so, or maybe November. I don't know. I don't know when the first suspected frost is, but they'll keep putting on. All of my tomatoes just about have reached the top of the tunnel. I need to come in. I keep saying that, and I still have not done it. I need to come in and snip off the tops. But they have been doing really good. They have been just producing, even through the heat. The shade cloth has helped tremendously. I'm going to take y'all out here in a minute and show you this buckwheat cover crop. Appears that it is flowering, which is awesome. So the purpose of that is, we put that silage tarp down months and months and months ago, let it kill all the weeds underneath, and then planted the buckwheat. And the buckwheat will capture nitrogen and then you mow it down and you kind of turn it into the soil, and it will help incorporate nitrogen into the soil here, which we already know. We've had this soil tested. We know it's lacking in everything, but it's certainly lacking in nitrogen. So we need to do that now that it's flowered. But once we do that, once we turn it in and let it kind of incorporate into the ground, we'll follow it up with a round of oats and peas. I already have that in. And it's just going to continue to do the same thing. It'll incorporate the nitrogen. It'll just add a lot of that organic matter, like green manure, into the ground. And it will also continue to help suppress the weeds. So the thicker, you can plant that cover crop, the better. I actually didn't plant the buckwheat thick enough. I went off of the suggestion on Johnny Seeds on how much to buy, how many pounds to buy. And I don't feel like it was quite enough. I'm kind of lacking in some areas. I can tell it's a little more thinly sown. So I actually doubled the amount of the oats and peas that I ordered. And we'll just sow it a little more thick. And a lot of people have asked me, what are my plans? Why am I doing that? What are my plans over there? And I don't know. I'm really just practicing with my cover crops. I've never done cover crops. I'm just kind of getting used to how it all works. But we'll do the oats and peas, and then I think what we may do through the winter is just put a silage tarp back over it, and then we'll test that ground. We'll test the soil again and see what we need to add to it. It should be better. I don't suspect that it'll be perfect by any means, but it should be better. And then we'll just finish amending it, and I do want to use it in the future. I don't know if we'll put a tunnel there over it. I don't know if we'll just leave it as uncovered garden space. I don't know, and I don't know what we'll plant in there, quite honestly. It's just something that I'm trying to take my time with to get prepared for the future, and I don't really have a plan for the future right now. Considering I don't really even have a plan for my fall garden, I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I don't have it perfectly planned out. You shouldn't expect me to have a plan with that over there. So one of the things that I'm considering doing, because I'm kind of stressed about the fact that I think I'm gonna be lacking in, by the time these tomatoes come out, the cucumbers are already out. The tomatoes will come out soon. I don't think that I'll have much in the ground that will already be producing in order for me to harvest, like I was talking about earlier. So I was just trying to brainstorm some ways that I could put some stuff in here that would maybe do well in the heat. That way I would have something I could harvest as I'm waiting for these fall crops to come on. I considered trying to sow some lettuces in here. Salanova is supposed to be one of those ones that does a little bit better in the heat. A lot of times people will tell you can't grow lettuce in the summertime, and it is hard to grow in the summertime. The taste is affected. We have some Salanova out in the garden right now, the uncovered garden. And it's growing. It looks great, but the taste just isn't great because the heat affects the taste. And it also bolts quickly in the heat. So once it bolts, you really can't harvest from it. So I've considered coming in here, amongst the tomatoes, or maybe even here kind of tucked under the peppers a little bit, trying to find a place to put some lettuce, and some Salanova lettuce probably. We have the shade cloth here, so it does cool it down a little bit, and we'll also have the shade of some of these other plants. It will also get watered every day. Unlike my garden outdoors, I'm pretty lazy about watering it. I don't water it that often. So I'm thinking about giving that a try, kind of getting a head start on the lettuce game. That way I'll actually have something to harvest and offer alongside the peppers, because the peppers should, like I said, carry me into the first frost. But yeah. But you can see here how much space I wouldn't say has been wasted, because this is the original plan I had, was to leave a lot of extra space here just so I could kind of practice growing in this tunnel. But I mean, this pathway here is just ginormous. And then over here, I have all this space over here that could be planted. Same thing with this pathway here. And then over there, and then, a lot of people will interplant, just like I was talking about with the lettuce, throwing in some lettuce amongst the tomatoes here and just utilizing that space and really just not leaving any space unutilized, whether it be for a path walkway or planting space. And I kind of did do that, I guess, with these are basil plants, and I specifically use those for flower arrangements. So I kind of did that with the basil, I guess. I did plant a few basil in there, but I definitely could have planted more. So I think, this season, this summer was all about seeing if I could even grow in a tunnel, if I knew what I was doing. Next season, we'll be learning more about succession sowing and trying to really utilize as much space in here as possible. Okay, y'all, I'm going to take you out to this cover crop and just kind of show you what it's looking like. And then, a dragonfly. I'm going to posse out of here because it is so hot. So stinking hot. This is the time in summer when I'm just like over it. Okay, yeah, so it is flowering. That's pretty cool. Okay, let me turn you around and show you. So you can see where it's really thinly sown over here. That wasn't intended. That just because I ran out of seed. But a lot of this is a little thicker. But yeah, this is buckwheat. And you can see that it has officially started to flower here. And they say, meaning I guess Google, I've read that, the bees and the pollinators really enjoy this, so you should be careful when you decide to mow it down because you're probably gonna find yourself amongst a lot of bees and things. So we'll be mowing this down, soon, whenever I can find the time. I gotta go to work the next 3 days, so I don't know, maybe in the evening I'll come down here and mow it down. So I don't know, it looks really good. I'm very pleased with this. It's much thicker over here, which is awesome. And I do see amongst these lightly sown areas, there are definitely some weeds popping back up, but in these heavier sown areas, there's not as many weeds. You can see that there's really not that many weeds. So hopefully the oats and peas will continue to choke the weeds out a little bit. But yeah, that looks so good. So I'm gonna have to call it a day on the YouTubes because it is hot and I've got other things I got to get done. So yeah, I just kind of want to talk you through kind of what I was thinking for my fall plan. I am right now going through with basically just pen and paper, and I like to plan my gardens out on graph paper. That helps me visualize it better. I'm definitely a visual person, so that's what I'm doing. When I have that all set and ready to go, I'll share that with you and just kind of talk you through how I'm planning on doing this. It's most definitely not perfect and it may not even be right, but it's how I'm going to do it. And yeah, that's all I got. I hope y'all have a good rest of your week. I hope you are staying cool wherever you are. I'm going to go inside and try to get cool. We'll see y'all next time.